Everton 0, Manchester United 3. I'm joined by that man right there, Stephen Howson. United have won a game comfortably. I say comfortably. The scoreline was comfortable. Finally, this season. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think that is the key to it, is that the scoreline suggests it was a comfortable game, but I think actually it wasn't a comfortable game and it wasn't a great performance. But I think some of that, in the circumstances of what was going on at Everton today, we all feared the worst. We all feared that we were going to get slapped up with, a point deduction bounce. So
Yeah.
the fact that that didn't affect us, we did the best thing we could possibly do, which is score. And it was an all right goal and all, to score 3 minutes in, really quietened that crowd down a little bit. And then Everton got the noses in front a little bit and were really knocking at the door. And I thought Onana really shown his worth today in that, because Everton had so many shots. He had so much to do. He's clearing them off the line. You've got Delo and Mainoo clearing them off the line. Just, it was a 3-0 sounds like it was absolutely parceled them up, but it couldn't be further from the truth, I don't think.
Did you? So actually, forget all that. Let's just start with the goal, because my thoughts on it is it's just a 10 out of 10 goal. Like, you cannot get a better one than that. Some are as good, some are different, but to me, you cannot score a goal any better than that, can you?
Not really. The only thing that elevates that is, does it win you a trophy, I think. If that wins you a trophy, I think that's the only way you get. From a technical point of view, for every factor of it, it's so far out. It's such a difficult angle, and it's 1,000,000% deliberate what he's done as well. You can't even be like, he's got a bit lucky there. Nah, that's exactly what he tried to do. And he's got that in him, hasn't he? He's got that spectacular in him. Yeah. Crazy little arsehole.
Mad, isn't it? I was looking at the XG at half time, and Everton's was 1 and ours was 0.09. Like, we're 1-0 up with a 0.09 XG. That's how difficult that was to put in the back of the net. I'll get to the other goals. We've been talking about it non-stop here. I need to get your thoughts on him. Kobbie Mainoo today, for me, just did everything. I couldn't believe how composed he's got. This sort of movement, these dummies, these feints, dropping in behind the centre-backs, picking it up under pressure, finding people in space. Did you think he was excellent, or am I just getting sort of rose-tinted glasses with it?
No, I thought it was the most technical player on the pitch.
Yeah.
About as composed as anybody that anyone's ever seen. Because we've known about him for nearly a year, I guess, now in terms of the first team picture. No one's surprised, but we should be, because that level of performance hasn't, we've seen Amrabat since the start of the season come in and try to put that level of performance in and actually not quite hit the target with it. I don't think we can go overboard on just how good a performance that was. There was times where, how many 18-year-olds in their Premier League debut, because let's not forget, that's literally what it was, first start, will sit in a hostile Goodison Park with the ball in the back line and stand still.
Yeah.
And look the most unruffled person in the stadium doing it.
It's mad. And because it's not just like, did he complete his passes, yes or no? There's something else about him when you watch him, isn't there? There's it's not just what he's doing, but how he's doing it. Like, always checking his shoulders constantly. These little feints, letting the ball roll across his body, like you said. Like, sitting in and just standing still and letting the game happen in front of him. If you're not pressing me,
Joe,
you're not closing me down. I'm not sure. He's not needed to. That's the thing, isn't it? It's bizarre. There's almost, I don't know, what are we seeing here? What kind of player are we seeing? What did you get when you watched him play?
I've been trying to think of what or who he reminds me of, and there's no one I can think of. There's not, I can't put my finger on it and go, it's no idea who it is. There's no player that he compares to. He's literally none. He's different to anything that we've seen come through before. He's different to any sort of world-class superstar that's played the game before. And that's not to say he's better than them or he's even on their level. It's just his individual mold of play. I feel like it's unique. There's no one coming and doing that. you see young players come through, and one of the things that you often see, and Garnacho's a great example of this, Marcus Rashford's a great example of this, Palestri's a great example of this. They charge about the place. They use their youth for energy. You don't do that.
No.
Like, he literally plays the game in a different gear to everyone, and that's the thing that I've been like. It's not Pirlo, because his game is different to Pirlo, but he's got that sort of composure and unruffleability of a Pirlo, like someone that's just got hours on the ball. I don't think he's quite got the range of a Pirlo, but that's the sort of player I can see him developing into, because guess what? Pirlo didn't look like this at 18 for sure. Pirlo didn't become Pirlo till he was over 30, I don't think.
Yeah. That's when he really hit that like sweet spot, wasn't it? Almost after he left Juventus, or he went to Juventus? There was that move, wasn't there? He left AC Milan and went to Juventus, and that's when he became this like world star. Just watching him. So like looking at a few of his stats, you know, 1 tackle, 3 ball recoveries, 2 interceptions, 1 block, 2 clearances. But then like the passing side as well, he's got this thing where like it's not hundreds of passes, but 35 passes. But just like you said, it's so rare that you see a youngster come in who isn't using his youthful exuberance as his main trait, his main characteristic. He's got this steadiness, this speed, but then he's got the athleticism. You know, occasionally someone will press him and he has to sort of turn it on a gear and get past him, and he does. It is weird to see a player that, especially in the centre of the pitch, at 18 years old, have such a calmness and a smoothness to him. Like you said, I can't think of certainly a United player. I mean, you'd have to go back maybe even to sort of Paul Scholes, and again, not in terms of quality and career and any of that stuff, but where you look at someone and think he's just got this real kind of smooth silkiness.
You can't put even the style of Paul Scholes, because Paul Scholes had a bit more range and he was more offensive with it. Yeah, Mainoo's defensive awareness is freaky. Like, there was a time where Maguire decided he was going to just fucking play right wing for a bit, and Mainoo's just slotted into defence and just been like, right, cool. And he was tracking runners and moving about, and I was literally sitting there thinking, fucking play him centre half, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
weird.
Like, what can he do? Like, we're seeing a generational talent here. I think we are seeing we saw it. Think about this, right? I think Rice has actually lived up to £100 million price tag, which is nuts, because I don't really think there's many players can do that. But no one talks about Declan Rice's fee on a week-to-week basis. That means that he's been pretty good for the money.
Yeah.
Right. When they met in the summer, there was only £100 million player on the park, and he didn't have Rice on the back of his shirt.
No.
And then we've not had that player since then, basically.
Yeah.
So that tells you, like, we sort of knew what we were getting, and then haven't really had the evidence of what we were getting until his first Premier League start. He feels like he's been around for so long.
Yeah.
Like, he's almost become like a bit of a myth and a legend in the fact that we've not had him, but then he actually delivered on the expectation today. That must have been harder to do than like come in and look good on pre-season. You know, you're coming into a United team, like, let's face it, has looked shite.
Yeah.
Where no one has been having good individual performances. And here you are coming in and just going, cool. In a hostile, tough place to go, where Sean Dyche is going to press the bollocks off you in midfield. And like I say, because he's playing in a different gear to everyone, and because he ain't running around and charging about, he's got days on the ball. And this is the one thing you can't pull a stat up for. When does he make a bad decision?
Yeah.
When does he make that, the young kid playing Premier League football? Come on, mate. Like, he don't do it.
No. And it is a 72-minute...
It's like watching a 34-year-old Brian Robson stroll about the gap.
Yeah. But with better knees. It is a 72-minute sample size, which is obviously very small. But in terms of a debut, you couldn't have asked for much more than that. Especially, like you said, the ability to speed things up, you associate that with young players, where they can whip and get through a difficult situation. A big round of applause. Go on, lad. But the ability to slow things down and control the game that way, that takes a real mind and a real sort of a natural talent to be able to do that. So, you know, hugely exciting, like you said. Just a couple of other things. Bruno gave Rashford the penalty. Great for Rashford. Do you mind that when you see that happening, do you think, come on, or is that good captaincy as far as you're concerned?
Probably good captaincy. Like, Bruno's been hammered recently because of Roy Keane's comments about being a captain and being a team player. Yep. Well, I'd like to see some sort of an apology there, because tonight his performance was a pure team performance. He ratted well, which he had to do because Sean Dyche makes you have to do that. You can't have any passengers in midfield against him.
Yep.
The ball that he plays through for Anthony Martial, they're giving up the penalty. Like, it was a great performance from Bruno, understated performance from Bruno, which you don't usually get, actually, to be fair. I thought that was smart because up until today, from our forwards, we were on one Premier League goal, was we?
Yep.
By the end of today, all three of our forwards that started today have got one Premier League goal. That's a hell of a turnaround in that time. And forwards are so judged, right or wrong, on goals that you got to give them their goals. I like that. And it was a hell of a penalty as well. Marcus don't look at the races at the moment. And I don't think, actually, I know they've all come away with a goal. I don't think any of our forward three, and Garnacho especially, and some people are just not going to be able to separate the fact that Garnacho scored potentially the goal of the season, but also dropped in a bang average 5.5 out of 10 performance today. But the whole forward line did that. Anthony Martial until his goal, I'm sitting there thinking, fucking I hope he don't play again for us because he's been dreadful. And then he pops up for that one moment with his goal and you go, that's a fucking great goal. But like all of them, and Marcus as well, he scores the penalty and it's a great penalty. Like literally all three of them have got the same notes on today's game. Yeah. Your goal was brilliant. The rest of your play, all three of you, he's a bit quiet.
Hopefully we'll see them sort of turn these goals and these wins into performances going forward. Thank you very much, Steve, for joining us. Hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, with the news, with the Paddock podcast at 4 o'clock as well. Manchester United have beaten Everton 3-0 at Goodison Park. We'll see you in a bit.